Hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you. As you know, I have scoured the earth to find these people that are fantastic. And this one was a little hard to track down because I couldn't tell if she was in Florida, Massachusetts, Hawaii. It's one of these things. I don't know if it's running from the parole officer or not. We'll find that out in a little bit, but I'm honored to be hanging out with Laura DiBenedetto. How are you today?
Super awesome. I managed to escape my parole officer, so I guess I'm in good shape.
Congratulations. So you are currently in Florida, correct?
I am. We just moved here 3 weeks ago. It is not as warm as I thought it would be, but it is every bit as beautiful.
Well, that's so cool. So you actually are are you Amazon #1 bestseller?
Yes.
So you're an Amazon #1 bestseller author of the book called The Six Habits, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Mhm.
A TEDx speaker, which is super cool. I'm already jealous and envious of that. And award-winning CEO of Vision Advertising. So there's a lot there. So tell me what Vision Advertising is first, and then we'll jump into the other stuff.
Great. Vision Advertising is a marketing company. We do full stack marketing. If it smells like marketing, we do it. We get people booked on podcasts. We get them in the news. We can get them a TED Talk. We figure out how to get them on TV and get people to their website. We build the website. We do their social media management, all of it. And I started that when I was 19.
Wow. Yeah, I read somewhere where you were 19 when you started your first company, and then you
Yes,
wanted to retire, or you did retire at 37, which I
I
didn't even
did.
think you were 37 yet. So you kind of let the cat out of the bag there. Your picture makes you look like you're in your 20s. So I was like, I don't, the math wasn't adding up. So
I do look young for my age, and I'm just going to graciously thank my parents and the good genetics for looking much, much younger than I actually am. I don't even have like more than 6 gray hairs. I don't dye my hair, which is kind
thanks,
of
Mr. and
cool.
Mrs. Benedetto,
Yes,
for that.
exactly. My dad's hair never turned gray until he was 60 something. And I think it's partially because it was falling out a little bit at a time. It just got scared and fell out. So I'm hoping I won't suffer that fate. See.
Wow, cool. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Six Habits because I did a little bit of investigation and it was intriguing to me. So, a lot of people ask me about my book and what I did and stuff. So I just want to ask you, how long's it been out, first of all?
It's been out since May 2020,
Oh,
and
great.
depending
Okay.
on when you hear this, that's how long it's been.
Awesome. So what really inspired you to write a book for your current situation?
The goal was not a book, I'll
Okay.
tell you that. I retired at 37, like we just talked about. And you would think that the whole retire at 37 thing would make you like super proud and feeling really good about yourself. Except I did everything I could to become successful and retire with all these accolades and all these awards under my belt and money and whatever, except I sold my soul, my happiness, and my health to get there. And
Hmm.
then by the time I got there at the finish line, I was not joyful. I was tired, I was sick, and I was really angry because I felt like I kind of got screwed because I'd followed like the quote unquote American dream,
Sure.
except all it did was just burn me to the ground. And I wanted to understand what I did wrong, what happiness really was, and then how I could actually predictably create it, knowing that I'm like a kind of a difficult customer. I've got ADHD. I'm really stubborn. I'm a rebel. I don't even do the things I'm supposed to do. And I needed something that would help me to basically see the kind of change that I was looking for.
Okay.
And I found such incredible power in my findings from my research. It blew me away. And I decided to take myself on this crazy 90-day adventure to see if I could actually reprogram my mind. Because here's what I found out. I was on this quest. Why am I not happy? What is happiness? Blah, blah, blah. And I found that happiness comes from your thoughts. It's
Okay.
not the stuff you do, it's not the stuff you have. And happy moments are actually the byproduct of being a happy person, not the other way around. And the most pivotal piece of information that I found is that happiness is the result of 6 core mental habits. And what's a mental habit? It's just your thought pattern, it's the way you typically respond to stuff.
Okay.
And So I started looking into habit, and I'm sure you've seen this places where you've seen 21 days and you'll have this new habit. I
Yep.
wanted to see if that was true. I was like, oh boy, I can change my life in 3 weeks. No, you can't. Scientists have already debunked that. It's not even 30, because those are, no, it's actually 66 days is what science says is with the minimum amount of time.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, well, if that's how long it takes to actually cultivate a new habit, and I know that these are habits, I'm going to build this 90-day program for myself just to see if I can, like, I don't know, just like reprogram all my thoughts and give
Sure.
myself all the good mental habits, and let's see if I can do it. Well, I did it, and I saw the most absolutely unbelievable results. I changed as a person. My husband changed as a person. I started getting like crazy courage and um, like just better boundaries and standing up for myself, truly loving myself and feeling healthier and fighting hard to regain my health and all of these wonderful things that, we just kind of want for ourselves. It all came about within this period of time. And the book was written and published so I could share this recipe with other people. Once I realized like what's possible for the most stubborn human alive, I figured, well, shoot, if people are even a micron less stubborn than me, they're going to love this.
Sure. Wow, that's cool. Well, I don't see you at the stubborn meetings, so I don't know if you're.
Nobody goes because they're too stubborn. The same thing with the People Haters Anonymous. Nobody goes because they're like, oh.
There you go. Well, you unpacked a lot there, so I took some notes. So I wanted to ask you, I mean, I look at this, I think like the healthier that you see yourself, the healthier view of yourself, I think is that kind of fits in obviously into this, because I kind of heard it interweaved in some of the things
Mm-hmm.
that you said. So, for people that are, there's a lot of entrepreneurs listening, business owners that are listening, and you know how that is. You're going a million miles an hour. The last thing you really think you have time to do is take a 90-day anything. B,
Mm-hmm.
stop long enough to even evaluate what's going on in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what encouragement, or what do you tell people that say, I just don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have whatever to do this? What's kind of your response to that?
Um, an honest one. I felt that way too. I get
Okay.
it.
Sure.
So I'm lazy. And there's a beautiful thing about being a lazy person. You tend to build things for lazy people that means the least effort required will get you the result, because that's what's needed. So when I was doing this thing, I figured out, what does it take to actually build all these habits that I talk about in the book? And it's kind of like, first of all, you have to be inspired by the research and the knowledge itself. And for me, I was doing the research to write the book. For the readers, just read the book.
Sure.
That's easy. And if you're inspired by that, then you can follow in my footsteps and do the next thing that I did, which is self-discovery. That doesn't take very long. You literally just need to dig around inside your head. You can do this at night before bed. You can do it on the weekends. It doesn't matter when you do it. You can also keep the stuff in the back of your mind. So you can take the question at the beginning of the day, just kind of chew on it passively. And then when you have an answer that day or the next day, you just write it down, and you give yourself an invitation to get to know yourself passively on your time. So it doesn't take you extra time. Again, I'm a lazy person. I don't feel like putting extra effort into things. This is good to keep in mind. Now, the 90-day thing for me, and for, I'd say, all of the people that have been doing it, everybody's right around 10 to 15 minutes per day, depending on how kind of extra they want to be with it.
Sure.
So what it is this 90-day thing is, you basically need to start living the habits before they're comfortable.
Okay.
You need to do the things, and when it feels weird and
Okay.
icky. And sometimes that's an all day thing. Like when you're present, it's not a thing you have to do. You just need to make a plan and make a promise to yourself. Does it take you long to make a promise to yourself? No. Does it
Right.
take you long to be hyper aware of something? No. You just have to remember to do it. And a large part of the program prompts you to remember and keep these things right on your radar,
Okay.
so you can actually cultivate these habits. Because, like you keep, hearing, hey, the sky's blue. Hey, the sky's blue. Eventually, you're just going to know,
Sure.
yeah, the sky's blue.
Well, so I got a tough one for you, because I wake up every morning and I read something, And I try desperately to retain that, think about it, remind myself throughout the day, kind of like what you're saying, but
Hmm.
so like every day, and I'm going to say every day because it's every day, you know, I get up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I get into something else
Yeah.
and it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like gone. I don't want it to be gone. I don't try to unthink it. I mean,
It just
yeah.
disappears.
Yeah. How do you like, you know, an entrepreneur is listening, quite frankly, I'm listening, forget them. I'm listening,
Screw you guys.
right? I'm like, this is, you know, this is one of those things. Maybe it's because I'm in my 50s. I don't know. But the reality is, it's maybe because I happened to watch a lot of people smoke pot when I was a kid. But, you know, I don't
Maybe.
know if what it is, but I just am struggling with that. So how do you help people
I'm
keep that
excited.
top of mind?
I'm excited to help you with this. So I'm going to give you some of the like the peaks inside the program. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to know this. So self-awareness, you've got that. You're checking the box. Check,
Yep.
got it. So you need to know this about yourself, and anybody that's listening, know that I'm not going to remember that. I've got other stuff. My kid's going to distract me. My job is going to distract me. I got meetings and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So you got to set yourself up for a win. Ask yourself a strategic question. Well, if this is really that important to me and I need to remember it, what steps can I take based on how I think that will keep this front and center for me?
Okay.
And for you, you might discover that you need to set a really annoying alarm on your phone that goes off every hour.
Oh,
That
okay.
will keep it top of mind for you. You could change it to be your phone wallpaper. You could put sticky notes all over your house. You could set an appointment with yourself. You could, I don't know, have an accountability buddy where you bug each other. And the
Sure.
first one that fails has to buy the other one a beer. That'll keep you remembering.
Yeah, exactly.
But like at the end of the day, like some people need to play games to
Yeah.
make it fun, like the beer
Okay.
idea.
Sure.
Then you've got other people that they're going to respond to something like a post-it, but after a while the post-it won't work because it just becomes part of the furniture, right?
Right.
But like for me, because all of these things work until they don't, I actually have to use all of them because
Oh,
I
okay.
can't afford to let a single thing become furniture.
Okay.
It's called a scotoma,
Yep.
actually. It's a medical
Blind
term.
spot. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So you see the laundry pile, you see the laundry pile until you don't see the laundry pile and it becomes part of the furniture.
Sure.
So, what can you do to prevent it from becoming part of the furniture? Maybe if you're like me, literally do all the things until you don't have to anymore. Like I have been known to write it on the back of my hand. I've been known to put a sticky note and like literally like put duct tape on the end of my toothbrush. I've been known to do like whiteboard marker on my mirror.
Okay. Sure.
The mistake of using a Sharpie one time.
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I've written on my water bottles, like whatever it takes. Like at the end of
Okay.
the day, like if you really, really want to remember
Sure.
the thing,
Wow.
you have to outwit
Great.
yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. That's interesting because I just kind of chucked it up to, oh, well. And then I thought, well, I'll try again tomorrow. And, you know, it wasn't really the effort, I guess, the effort that you just talked about. How can you have all that effort and be lazy? I'm really thinking that you're just feeding me a line about this lazy thing because
No,
I don't
it's
know. I'm not
interesting. I
buying it.
put
I'm just
effort
saying I'm
into the
not
things
buying
I
it,
care
Laura.
about.
I'm not buying it. So,
That's fair. I put effort into the things I care about, much like lazy people. But if
okay.
I don't care about it, I don't want to do it. I
Okay.
don't like putting a lot of effort into things, which is why I need to come up with like a system that works so I can set it and forget it.
Gotcha.
So, Dave, I'm going to ask you,
Yes.
turn the
Ask
tables
me.
on you for a second. You just said you're struggling with that. Which one of
Yes.
the ideas that I just gave you would work most for you?
I see. So I'm a visual person. So all that you said to me, I'm forgetting. So I would have to go back, write those down. I mean, the one that's sticking in my mind is just to like write something on the water bottle.
Hmm.
You know, I mean,
Grab your Sharpie, write it on the top.
I'm a visual person. And most 2 out of 3 people they say are visual learners.
Hmm.
So most people listening probably will identify with that I forgot probably. I don't even know if you gave me 5, I probably forgot 4 of the only one that's remembering right now is the water bottle, right?
Whatever. You remembered one of them.
Right. So that's where I'm kind of gravitating towards. So I would have to write those down and then I would have to contemplate. But right now it would be just putting it right on the water bottle, whatever it is,
There you go.
So
So there you go. Like just on the clear plastic part on the top, grab your Sharpie and just write down, like if you're trying to acquire one of these habits, which is something I really want to get the whole damn world to do because it's so
sure.
good for us, just write that one word on the top of your water bottle. And when you get a new one, write it on the next water bottle. And actually, the repetition of rewriting it on every damn water bottle
There you
will
go.
force you to have it more present in your mind.
Is it still going to be 66 days for me, Laura? Do you think?
It's science. I don't argue with science.
Well,
Yeah.
there's entrepreneurs listening that want to figure out how to do it in 3 days,
I mean,
so
God bless you, but you're full of crap. It's not going to happen. Like I have to tell you, like one of the things I'm never going to do is lie to myself or lie
sure.
to yourself.
Yep.
And like the reality is, I say this as the CEO of a marketing company. I benefit from you believing what I tell you,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I don't like I could try to sell you a 21-day program and I'd probably sell more of it or a 30-day program. But what I'm more interested in is the people that actually do the 90-day program with
Sure.
me to actually get the benefits, change their lives. And therefore, I only operate from a place of high integrity and truth. And unfortunately, the truth sucks. You have to do it for a long period of time. Sorry.
Dang it.
But
All
it's
right. Well,
fun.
for you
That's
guys
the fun
listening, I
part.
tried. Okay. I'm just saying I
You
tried.
did try. It was a valiant effort.
A
But like,
for effort,
but here's the thing. If
Yep.
when you're trying to quit smoking, not fun. When you're trying to start flossing, not fun. The
Right.
90-day program I built, it's actually fun and you feel amazeballs the entire time. So you can suck it up for 10 little minutes and you'll be fine.
What about starting smoking and quitting flossing? I mean, that might,
I mean, it sounds actually kind of easy
right?
and
That's a whole lot easier,
gross. Like,
right?
I mean, I'm just thinking about oral health in both of those.
They kind of contradict, so no big
Yeah,
deal.
can you imagine just like the situation?
Yeah, no,
No.
yeah, different podcast,
I'll
But
hook you up with some dentists.
yeah, exactly. Don't call me, okay? I'm not a smoker. So when somebody, let's unpack one of these because there's 6 of them. We're obviously not going to jump into 6. We want people to invest in either the book or the course or both. But I want to kind of give the listeners a little taste of this. So pick one. I'll pick you told me the 6. I'm going to pick the intention piece. So intentionality for me is the word of the year for me. I've been trying really hard to do things with intention. Kind of lines up with my book title, Growing on Purpose, as opposed to growing by mistake. So
Yeah.
walk us through this a little bit. Share with us a little bit as you feel comfortable about this particular step
Okay.
here.
I'm really excited too. And I know there's entrepreneurs that love your show and intention is the habit of entrepreneurs everywhere. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening, lean in. This one's for you. So the habit of intention is the habit that governs what we do and why we do it. That's it. It's just like it sounds. It's I have the intention to build a multi-million dollar business within, I don't know, 36 months, and I'm going to do that. So the habit it encompasses a lot of ideas. It's always believing that some action needs to be taken and then taking it no matter how small.
Okay.
It could be perhaps someone that's been very sick for a while, right? Their intention is regaining their strength to just get dressed that day and they're
Sure.
going to do it and not break that promise to themselves. And that's a
Okay.
really nice, simple, relatable example for like every human, especially with COVID floating around.
Sure.
You know, we've all had a cold or a flu and we just wanted to be in our jammies all day. But the intention to take action is so important. So as entrepreneurs, we often bite off more than we can chew. And that's kind of our signature. It's kind of our thing, right? We see problems, we solve them. And we
Right.
have this big intention to do lots of stuff.
Right.
The real habit that I want to help people to really embody is really understanding action must be taken no matter how small. It's the who, what, where, why, when, and how of the actions and the dreams that we're taking. So when we have the mental habit of intention, we realize I feel like crap today and it doesn't matter. I'm still going to do things because I made a promise to myself, and my promises to myself matter more when I don't feel like doing it than other times.
So real quick on that, if I don't value myself, then I'm going to struggle valuing the promise to myself, right?
Correct. And that's where the other 5 habits come in.
Okay.
It's
So,
all a web. And
yep,
I've been on many, many podcasts, and a lot of them ask me, so which one is the most important habit? There's no such thing. Like,
sure,
one person might answer, well, this one for me is the most important because it's the one where I'm most efficient. Someone else might say, well, this one's the most important because this one's the one where I'm the closest to the goal and I
sure,
feel like I can crush it. So,
sure.
self-love is really important, but also, like, I find that sometimes when we get intimidated, we take on these really big goals. It's
Hmm.
so important for us to break it down. It's the big picture of where we're going, and it's the small steps that it takes for us to get there. And so I like to recommend that we start our day with profound clarity. This is what I am doing, these small lists of things, and this is it. I'm not adding to my list until I have completed these things. As a person with ADHD, I need to stay focused more than most people. I can't
Okay,
handle derailments. I can't do it. So I have to defend my schedule like I'm like a dragon slayer.
sure.
And like my commitments that I make to myself, you're right. You do have to believe and love yourself and all of those things that, the promise is worthy of being made and kept. So that's a really good point you made.
And it just feels like I guess you can't really move forward. It's kind of one of those foundational truths that you can't build this on the fact that if you don't like yourself, love yourself, whatever your words are, right?
Mhm.
Appreciate yourself, whatever, value yourself. If there isn't that, it's really hard to build off of that because you're building off of a foundation that's going to really crumble when
Right.
things don't work out.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, if you're going to build, um, I don't know, let's say you're going to take a wooden platform and you're going to put it on a pond, right?
Hmm.
But then you have to build a structure, and you have to build 6 legs of the structure. If you
Right,
only build one of the legs of the structure, it's going to go in the water. If you
right,
only build two, it's going to go in the water. But if you build three, it's got a better chance. Four, it's got a better chance. But five, it's got a really good chance. But when you build all six, that thing's going to be stable.
sure.
So we are the structure that we're trying to build here. And when we're thinking about all of these habits, it's really vital for us to understand that mental habits determine what we do. So, something, when I was researching, like trying to find some statistical data to include in my TED talk, I found out something really fascinating. I think you'll like this. Human beings have, on average, around 60,000 thoughts per day.
Hmm.
85% of them are they're pretty much the same thoughts as the previous day. What does that mean? Mental habit. Now, the scary part of that is 85%, right? 90% of the 85% are
Hmm.
negative.
Hmm. Wow.
Negative. So if
Yep.
we're constantly saying, I can't do this, I won't do this, like I'm not going to bother, taking intention with this. I know what I want, but it's just too high of a hill to climb. I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. Well, we're going to believe that.
Yeah.
But if
Wow.
we recognize that our thoughts are repetitious, these are mental habits, they're fully within our control, and we get to control what grows in our garden, that's
Yeah.
when we truly get to have what we want.
Yeah, that's really cool. We do a lot of work with DISC, the personality profile,
Task.
and in the one that we do,
Oh, that's
there's
right. I see it behind you.
yeah, yeah, they're right there. So yeah, there's probably 40, 50 pages in an average DISC assessment. Well, there's a page that's called areas of improvement, and then there's a page that's called your strengths or what value to. It's called value to the organization.
Hmm.
So when I'm doing training with a group, a team, and we're going through this, it's way easier for the team to talk about their weaknesses and what they're not good at, as opposed to them stepping up and saying, you know what, I'm really good at this. and it kind of lines up with what you just said about the negativity piece. And so I encourage people to focus way more on these, these strengths, focus way more on the positive pieces, because we got so much negativity going on the way it is that, if we add more to our life, you just get to a point where, like, I listened to your TED talk and you were talking about where you just sat and stared at the wall.
Yeah.
That's
I was
kind of,
catatonic in depression. That was
yeah.
not fun. A
But
lot
I
of
mean,
us get like that. Even if we're moving, we're not
right.
really moving.
Yeah.
We're just moving for the sake of momentum versus progress.
Right. Absolutely. So if you're listening, just, go out of your way, even as you're listening now, go out of your way to think of a couple things that you're, number one, thankful for, but number two, what are you really good at? I mean, there's not enough people, tooting your horn, most likely. And I really encourage people to do that. So, thanks for
I echo
pointing that
that.
out.
That you're absolutely right. I think, first of all, I love that you use the disc tools. They're so amazing. So anyone that's listening and hasn't worked with you yet and they really want to learn more, they
They're
should.
awesome.
Disc
It's
is such a
scary, isn't it?
powerful tool. Yeah, dude.
It's
Is
way
it
wrong.
obvious that I'm a screaming high D?
Yeah.
Is it obvious?
Yeah. I could
Yeah.
tell as soon as, like, on your one of the podcasts that I listened to with you, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have, I gotta keep this up, because it's gonna hit the ground running, and
Yep.
and it just goes up from there, which is awesome. And
Mhm.
each person has their own way that they are. I just think that, like you said, there's so many negative thoughts, but we're programmed to do this on our own. So it's like you have to unprogram yourself to think
Yep.
something positive.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's even like the dang COVID thing. I mean, it's not how many people today didn't get it, it's how many people did get it, right? And not how many people got it and recovered, it's how many people that didn't recover. And
It's how we tell the story.
right? I get it. I get it. I get it. So please don't email me. All I'm saying is that there's a other side to this, right? And I
There
wish
is.
that we would, give both sides equal time, so that it wasn't so negative, because man, there's way more people that recovered from this
Yep.
that didn't. So why are,
Absolutely.
and I just,
We're
again,
hardwired actually to be negative as a species and as a culture. It's like even from childhood. I don't know if you had a mom that tried to prevent you from accidentally offing yourself, but I did. And
yeah.
she'd be like,
Oh,
"Don't climb that tree, you'll hurt yourself.
oh, sure.
Don't
Yeah.
ride your bike down the hill, you'll
Yep.
hurt yourself.
Right.
You'll don't climb that blah blah blah, you'll fall." And it's like, um, well, that's a lot of negative reinforcement.
Yep.
Thank you for telling me I'm going to fail.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like it's coming from, a good place. And here's the crazy thing. Our subconscious, Dave, you probably know this. Our subconscious is there to parent us when our parents aren't there. And our subconscious keeps replaying these tapes over and over and over in our mind, whatever it takes to keep us safe. Don't make that cold call. You're going
Oh,
to get your feelings hurt when they hang up
yeah.
on you.
Yep.
Don't ask for more money than you've ever made in your life. They're going to say
Right.
no to you and it'll hurt your feelings. Right? Don't
Yep.
do these things because
Yep.
if you try to grow, you're going to get hurt. And you know what? Spoiler alert, you
Yep.
might, but you also might win like a
Right.
boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the sales training that I do for people, it's so funny, because you look at that and you say, hey, when you were a kid, man, what did your parents tell you? Don't talk to strangers. So then you grow up and you take a sales position, and your sales manager says, go ahead. You know what, Laura? Talk to strangers every day. Talk to them, call them up, bother them, get them on the phone, do whatever you need to do to get in front of them, right? So it's just like all the stuff you learned as a kid. I mean, it must have helped, but there was a day where it no longer helped. And it's like, I don't know when that was, so
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. I just think the intention piece, like you said, to take action. And I got in that habit years ago of just making my bed every morning. And like even they say in the army sometimes, why do you make these guys, make their bed? And it's purely to say we accomplished something,
Hmm.
and I love that. And so I appreciate that you share that. And regardless of size of that actual action that you took,
Right.
because
Like getting dressed. Well,
right?
listen, I'm pretty sure you teach on this. The BAT triangle, behavior,
Hmm.
attitude, technique
Yep.
triangle. Well, guess what? The six habit stuff plays into it, and salespeople need to know this.
Yep.
It is your behavior of just doing it and doing it. That's what the habit building is. You have to do it. The attitude, I deserve it. I will go out there. I will make these sales. I can do this. And the technique is the skill. And it with what you do and with what I do, there
Yep.
is a nuanced approach to doing it that will help you crush it and do it
Well,
right.
and that, so what, that's funny. Behavior, attitude, and technique, right? So those are the three things. And so many people in sales training, they want all the techniques. They want to learn the
As if that's enough.
gymnastics needed to go ahead and, close this down, lock this person in a room, make them sign whatever, right? They want to talk about the techniques. And I'm like, boy, without the behaviors and without the attitude, you're never going to have success with the technique, because it just will not happen. So I really appreciate that piece. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty
it's
cool.
100%. And I remember just learning about all of the sales principles and all that other stuff years ago. And I know what you're saying. I was like, oh, well, what's the secret phrase that gets them to buy? There isn't one.
Right.
There isn't one. It's all in you. And like sales is not something you do to someone, it's something you do for someone
Right.
if you're doing it right. And the thing that's actually made me an incredible salesperson over the years
Yeah.
is listening and really like knowing the structure of the technique, but making it my own because my attitude has
Sure.
always been up.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, we've shared a ton for people, so now I got a selfish question, because I watched your TEDx and I'm like, man, that's so cool. I've always had this. It's kind of like on my bucket list, but it's one of those things that's so outside my comfort zone, because I've known, I had other people on podcasts, one guy in particular, and I've talked to him. He was a friend, and he was like, it took him like a long time to get this thing down to 15 minutes. I mean, it looks like it's a huge, huge, huge undertaking. So when you did yours, was it like you just jumped in and started talking, or did you have like every word, kind of timed out, and did you have this thing rehearsed 150 times?
Well, I'm happy to tell you all about it because what people think TEDx and TED Talks are like is very different than what they actually are.
Okay.
So, I'll tell you just the brief story of it, and then you can ask me any questions you
Yeah.
like. So I applied last January, and
Okay.
this was the inaugural event for TEDx MCPHS. That's a pharmacy college out of Boston. So they didn't get their ability to do licensing until kind of very late in the game.
Okay.
Typically, with a TED Talk, you apply 2 years before you want to do it, and you have a year and a half to prepare. I had approximately 2 months to prepare because the event
Oh.
was April 11th. Then COVID showed up. We all know what happened. I did not fly to Boston, and they're like, well, we'll just let you know. And I'm like, huh, all right. So then they told us in August, we're going to do a digital event in November, but we need to have all your videos basically by like October 1st. I was like, oh, okay. That's cool. Still short notice. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. The requirements that they have are based on the extraordinary rigorous standards of TED, which
Sure.
we love TED for a reason. It's because you can't just like show up and start yapping and flapping your gums.
Right.
You need a point.
Yeah.
You need one point.
So
And the
what do you
thing
want to
about,
talk about today, Laura?
right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I've seen a lot of speeches and sometimes it's just a rambling mess. But the thing
Sure.
about TED is they help you,
Yep.
and they help you to clarify your message, to whittle it down to one core idea that you get to share, because the whole point is ideas worth spreading,
Sure.
right? So you need to
Yep.
have one idea. And being able to do that one idea, um, it's so hard. So I wrote a book with like 55,000 words. Writing a speech, that was a little harder because the audiobook version of my book is like 6 hours. My speech had to be under 15 minutes. I'm like,
So you got to
crap.
talk a little
Okay.
faster then. Hey, that's all. Just speed
Yeah,
up the.
exactly. Just put me on. But like, so I had to write the speech. I had to run it by them. I had to rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it and get it shorter and shorter and shorter.
Okay.
And I am not great at memorizing, but I did it. I rehearsed it so many times. I'm pretty sure me and my husband memorized it.
Sure.
Um, I did not get to have an audience of humans, but I did have an audience of 8 geckos. That was nice. We recorded it on Maui and where I was living at the time. And it was weird because when we were done, it was like, well, no applause. That's cool. Um, guess we're done here.
You must have been able to like re-record, record. I mean, did that I was thinking that's almost better to be able to, see it 100 times before you've picked the right one, or did you not do it that way?
I actually had it memorized so I can do it in one take.
Okay.
And I was ready to do it in one take, except in the middle of the first take, there was construction next door that I specifically scouted that location because it would be quiet. Joke's
Sure.
on me. People plan and God laughs. So there was construction. And I'm like, I'm sorry. What? Excuse me. I'm doing something really important here. Would you quiet down? And they couldn't hear me. And I was like, oh, so
Oh
then
my
I had to
gosh.
like try to spit out like, different parts in between, like
Sure.
jackhammers and like tractors and beep. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? By the end of this, I'm gonna just praise Jesus for all of the editing. But when we aired it online, it was really nice to be in the company of all the other presenters. That was
Sure.
really cool. But the day that I actually got the like the flutters in my stomach of the oh crap, I did a TED talk is when I went online the day after it was uploaded and it already had something like 7,000 views. I was like,
Wow.
"Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay, now people have seen it. Oh crap. It's not just me and the geckos. Oh no." But
Wow,
I have
cool.
to tell you, like for those that wish to do a TED talk, and if you say it's on your bucket list, I would say this to you. Um, apply to the ones that have a theme that is pertinent to what you care about.
Okay.
Apply to ones that are within your locale. Um, apply briefly, because if you can't succinctly apply, you can't succinctly give a speech because they give you parameters. You would have an absolute, undeniable, cut you off at the knees maximum of 18 minutes. They want you to have it at 15 and they highly encourage you to have it at 12. A
Sure.
good idea can be expressed concisely. So if you can apply and briefly get your idea across, that works better. Research and really know who is putting the event together, get to know them, see if you can, put together an application that has some personality, because the most amazing TED Talks are memorable not just for their ideas, but the presentation of the person doing it.
Sure. Yep.
So that's my
Wow.
advice.
That's so cool. Well, thanks for indulging me. That was purely for me. So anyone listening, sorry if that didn't edify you. It did me because that's totally on my bucket list. And I
You
think
get to do it. You're the host. It's your rule. It's your
exactly
house.
right. Yep. If you don't like it, turn your head. That's what I was told. So you did yours on 6 habits of the happiest people, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of what it was, and that's the same habits that are in the book. And we talked about
Hmm.
one of those being in the intention part. So I also wanted to ask you about this. How happy are you quiz, because I took it online. And now, full disclosure, we don't lie here, we just tell it like it is. I knew the right answers, not because I saw the answers, but because I knew what they were. So I took it and I put in what you're just kind of conditioned into putting what you really think you should put rather than what you are potentially
Some people do
experiencing.
that.
What?
Some people do that.
I
And
did.
some
I'm
people
just
are
telling you, I
honest,
did. And it said, oh my
unlike
gosh.
yourself.
I'm like, dude, it turned out said, dude, you're awesome. Right. And I'm like, crap, this wasn't what I wanted. So my question was, it's hard to answer them honestly, but how do you what do you do? I mean, it was hard, like to answer that. Like, do you have healthy relationships? I think was one, and I won't spoil it, but I think that was one question, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was. And
I
so,
built it a while ago, so even
yeah.
even I don't remember all the
Yeah,
questions.
no worries. And it was one, and I'm just like, well,
They're designed to make you think, and there's the right answer of right, and I say that in air quotes, like highly subjective, like it's the ideal answer of like
yeah,
what we would really love to be living into.
yeah,
And I do think it takes courage to be really, really honest with ourselves. And I would say of all the people that have taken it and will take it, what I will say is this. I think there's going to be probably a safe margin of error of people tend to overinflate their capabilities and their status by about 25%. So if you got glowing remarks, knock a quarter off of that. If you end up getting terrible remarks, honey, call me because you really need support. But like, you get the idea. I mean, like the
Yeah,
questions were designed to really make you think and like start to like shine lights in different areas of your life that you probably don't even think about,
sure.
you know?
So
Because
you
like one of the biggest things that you need is self-awareness in
right.
life.
Yeah, we do a lot of with DISC, you do the EQ part, the emotional quotient, and understand your emotional intelligence. And one of the things
Yep.
in there is your self-awareness. And, I mean, I always think about it when I'm driving my car and I'm getting on the freeway, and these people, for whatever reason, think the 20 feet in front of them, I can't get in there. I can go behind them, but there's no way in the world that they're going to let me in front of them. Right. So I think that those are kind of the low emotional intelligent people. They speed up and they're like 2 feet from the bumper in front of them, and it's definitely your turn because you're supposed to do every other, but they ain't having it, right?
Not everyone is familiar with zipper merging.
Yeah, exactly. It even says in Milwaukee to zipper merge. They even use those words, but people must
That's so
not.
funny. They do.
Yeah, people must not get, you know,
It's actually a thing, and you know something? It's actually been scientifically proven to be the most logically effective and logistically sound method of merging for traffic. I'm a nerd. You have no idea. I
wow,
research the
this is like
dumbest
Cliff
crap.
Clavin from Cheers. This is little well-known facts that you're pulling out today. This is
I know,
awesome.
and a giraffe's tongue is black. What else do you want to know?
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. So what do you do back to the quiz? What do I mean, obviously the goal is for you to just kind of open your mind when you're answering the questions. But it just was hard. So I didn't know if you had any tips because it was hard to really like in that situation where it asked the question, do you have healthy I can't remember exactly, but it had to do with healthy
Hmm.
relationships. I mean, it's like, oh, well, yeah, right. It's like, yes, I just clicked yes because I'm like, do you have them? Yes, or whatever, whatever that
Hmm.
was. So, I mean, it got me thinking, which was probably what you wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the first step before we jump into the 6 habits? Is to kind of start there,
Sometimes, I mean, in the training work that you do that you can only help someone that wants the help,
right?
right? You can only support someone that realizes that they need it. And if you take my quiz, right, and you were challenged by some of the questions, that's great because you're actually still thinking about it a couple days later. That's
Right.
good.
Yep.
Even like forget the results. The question triggered you.
Yep.
And that's the real magic. Sometimes the questions we ask, just like in the sales process and the pain funnel and all these things, like we're learning more with better questions. And questions can resonate for months or years, right?
Yep.
So when you think about this question, sure, you can inflate and lie to yourself, or you can take a minute and really just have an honest, ah, damn it moment with yourself
Right.
and really just own the answer. And if you're owning the answer, it's an invitation to you to realize maybe things are not as good as I thought they were
Sure.
because I've been so busy caught up in momentum for the sake of movement
Right.
versus real joy and progress. And that's what the quiz is meant to reveal. And it does it, to your point, through the questions as well as the answer. So you can start with the quiz, you can start with the book, but you're going to get this like one really powerful result from either one of them. Obviously, with the book, you'll get tons of information and
Sure.
inspiration, but you'll get a call and a question to yourself, which is this good enough for me? This life I have is better possible? Am I solidly in my own way? Can I do better for me? Do I want better for me? And
Sure.
if you do, and you've taken the quiz, then you should read the book. And if you've read the book, then go online and download like the $350 worth of like coaching tools and download them all for free and do them and do a deep dive into your self-awareness. Really dig into those things. And then if you if you want to do the 90-day thing and actually master these habits and bring them into your life, then do that. But it all begins, no matter what it is, it always begins with that tiny little spark. and that little question that I planted in your head by you taking my quiz of,
Sure.
hmm,
Yep.
could this be better?
Yep.
And even if you're not even articulating it, using those words in your head, that thought is there, rumbling in there somewhere. I bet better is possible for me, and I lied on this damn quiz because I want to be a winner.
Yep, exactly. I was afraid you were gonna know who it was at the end, and then you're gonna call me and go like, "Dude, you failed, so we need to talk," right?
It's
So
not a graded quiz. It's basically like a self-awareness.
yeah,
Here's
exactly.
the
I was like,
mirror type of quiz.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm not telling her the real story. There's no way, right? But no, I appreciate that, that path in along the way. And I think some people that's a great place to start, just to purely get a real low risk way to be exposed to this, to see what your thoughts are on it. And again, it was interesting, the questions, I couldn't blame other people. I had to, it kind of all the light, the mirror, everything kind of shone right on me, as opposed to going, oh yeah, just wait till I tell my family, just, my business partners or my whatever, right? It's real easy to blame other people and not
Right.
really look internally. So the questions made me look internally, which I really appreciated. So
That's good. I'm glad. And I'm going to add to this just for you because this is your show and
sure.
you like to be selfish, so I'm going to help you do it.
Good. Well, don't listen. No one else listen. Okay. Just
Plug
me and
your
Laura.
ears. Don't benefit from this. No. Um, when you're taking a look at your close relationships, that question stuck out to you. Do you
Yep.
have healthy relationships? If you're looking at your life and they're like, no, it's a disaster, they're all terrible, clearly things are on fire, but that's obviously not the case because people have healthy relationships and they have unhealthy ones.
Sure.
The next logical question is, what role are you playing in co-creating this unhealthy relationship that is not serving either of you?
Sure.
Because if you think that you're not being served and the other person is winning, they're really not. Because sometimes when you win at the expense of someone else, I'm sorry, always, you're not actually winning. You think you are, you're just alienating that person. And what they're losing is intimacy with you. They're
Yeah.
losing trust. They're like their reputation with you is not good, right?
Mhm.
And what are you doing to co-create that unhealthy relationship? And the next, logical question after that is, what do I do about it?
Sure.
And this is where all my work comes in.
Sure. Awesome. And translate that in real quick into a team environment in in your company. If you're listening and you have a team, think about it from that perspective. What are you, what unhealthy habits, what unhealthy relationships are you allowing or propagating in your team?
Hmm.
Because I think it's the leader's responsibility primarily to have an effective functioning team. And when
Hmm.
it breaks down, it's the leader's responsibility to really understand that. So if you're stuck with that, that's where I think Laura would do a great job to be able to help you get unstuck, whatever that looks like in that situation. So I think each one's different. So
Thank you.
so
I
yeah,
agree.
so that quiz is on the sixhabits.com, right? Or is
It
that
is.
on
Yep.
your personal website or both?
You can get to it from either one.
Okay, awesome.
So listen, I have to have two websites because my last name is DiBenedetto. And unless you're of European descent, you're probably not going to spell it right. And even then, it's a crapshoot. So I've got lauradbenedetto.com. I also have the six, SIX, habits.com, the6habits.com.
Awesome. So cool. And so if people, we will put in the show notes a link to that 90-day challenge, because that is something that's huge, that there's a cost to that, but
Mhm.
it's one of those things that are, the investment is so minimal. I always think, and maybe it's just me, but as an entrepreneur, the money never scares. I shouldn't say never. The money doesn't usually scare me. It's the time investment. And I go
Mhm.
all the way back to what you said at the beginning, which I was like, kind of shocked that you said, if usually it's so regimented, right? These dang programs are so regimented. So I
I hate them.
love the fact that you were like, hey, if you skip a day, it's not the end of the world. Or,
Nope.
if it noodles in your brain or whatever, right? There's,
Mhm.
it isn't like, okay, at 6:02, you have to spend 13 minutes until 6:15 doing this.
Yep.
I mean, that I'm glad that you didn't do that, because I would have really had a hard time, being able to acclimate that into my life. So,
Thank you. Do you ever read that book from Gretchen Rubin, The Four Tendencies?
you know what? I think
It's a good book. I really liked it.
there it is, the Four Tendencies right
Well,
there.
dust it off, buddy. You got to read it.
I brought it with me to, yeah, there it is, Gretchen. Yeah, I brought it with me to on a trip, and the trip got canceled. So it's in my read pile. So
Well, let
no,
me just tell you about it briefly because
oh,
I
save me the read.
listen.
Awesome.
So you should still read it though. But like basically the four tendencies, right? It talks like the whole book is all about how we respond to expectation,
Okay.
external and internal. And you got
Okay.
four different types of people. The people who are like me, I do not respond well to other people expecting me to do stuff. It's a crapshoot whether I'll do it or not. And I
Sure.
also don't respond well to me expecting me to do stuff. So if I say I'm going to go to the gym every day, you and I both know I'm not going. Also, if someone else says, I need you to do this for me, I'll be like, that's nice. And I'm not going to do it. But
Sure.
then you've got the other end of the spectrum, which is the type of people they religiously go to the gym and they religiously will follow through with anything that anyone asks of them. They follow all the rules and they're good doobies,
Sure.
right? Then you've got in between the folks that they don't keep promises to themselves, but other people, yes. And then the reverse, right? So you take a look at the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, great book, really inspired me. The 6 regimented things you got to do every day.
Okay.
And I love that book. I can't wait to meet the guy. He's just cooler than the other side of the pillow. But
Cool.
for me, as a rebel, I cannot sustain that type of program in my life.
Okay.
And like Gretchen really gives a label to all these folks. There's the rebel, and then there's on the other end is the upholder, the people that follow all the expectations. Somebody like an upholder is built for Hal Elrod's program,
Okay.
built for it. But anyone like me, a rebel, or anyone that does not really like to keep promises they make to themselves, they need something with loads of freedom and inspiration. So, there's programs out there for everybody, but like that's one of the things that I knew going into this, because Hal Elrod's book, solid, Gretchen's book, solid, love them,
Yep.
but they're not built for everybody, nor is mine really. My book is great for someone that hates routine, rote stuff, scheduled things. You have to spend an hour doing this, you have to drink like
Yep.
this kind of juice and meditate and blah blah blah. I can't force myself to do that stuff.
Sure.
And I wanted to be successful anyway. And
Yep.
I didn't want to feel as though success was only reserved for the hyper disciplined people that respond really well to internal expectations.
Wow. That's cool.
You're
Awesome.
going to enjoy the book and read it now, aren't you?
Yeah, now I am. Well, she's now there they are right there. Upholder, the questioner, the
Mhm.
rebel, and the obliger.
Yeah.
I just bought it because it reminded me of DISC, the 4 personality styles I wanted to learn, continue to learn and build off of that. So we'll see how close that is. But thank you.
You're going to like it. Actually, fun fact, if you apply to work with me and my company as an employee of Vision Advertising, you need to submit a DISC assessment and our own personality quiz that takes in some factors of the 4 tendencies in order to
Wow.
apply with us. Because I need to know how
Yeah.
to treat you, how to love you, how to manage you.
Wow. Holy cow. That's awesome.
It's hard to
So,
get hired by me, but if you get hired by me, you'll be happy.
okay, where do I sign? I'm done. So, hey, as we start to come in for a landing today, I got a question for you. If
Awesome.
you had a tip of the week, so it's Laura DiBenedetto's tip of the week, what would it be?
Laura DiBenedetto's tip of the week. Have the courage to look at your thoughts and don't cringe at what you see.
Don't cringe at what you see.
No, seriously, it's
Yeah.
hard to be self-aware, and it's really much more preferable for a lot of us to live in denial of some of the facts that we have about ourselves. Like, a lot of us, a lot of men in particular, have grandiose visions of, who we are, our capabilities, and, our real status. And that's really just a cover for the fears we have around perhaps some of the limitations that we're afraid of, or things we don't think we can do, and it's just a cover for our insecurities. So the tip of the week: take a look at yourself and don't cringe at what you see. Just look with love. It's okay if you suck at some stuff, because you do. We all do.
That's awesome. Hey, Katie, you're listening. Make sure and cut out the thing she said about men. Okay. Don't play that in here because it's so unfair.
You know
It's so
what? You got
true
enough
though,
going
right?
for you,
No,
white
no,
man.
it's
You'll
totally
be
true.
fine.
No, no, we're good. It's all good. So one last question, I'm gonna let you go. This is always a fun question. What's one thing that most people don't know about you that you feel comfortable sharing?
Mm. I am a 40-year-old big kid. I still love to play. I get super excited about like pretty clouds and cute little lizards, and I can swim with sea turtles, and it will be the 10,000th time, and I'll still be like, "Oh my God, it's a sea turtle!"
So do you color? Do you use crayons?
No, but I'm actually a fine artist and I paint.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Growing up is for old people, and I'm not old, so I'm not doing it.
There you go. That's so cool.
You
Well,
heard it here first.
yeah, no, thanks for all this. If somebody wants to learn more about you, if they want to learn more about the 6 habits, they want to learn more about your book or the 90-day challenge that you have placed before us today, what's the best way for people, Laura, to get in contact with you?
If you go to the6habits.com, again, it's www.thesixhabits.com. Just go there. You can learn about me, see all the impact I'm making in the world, and make a big impact in your own world.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I took a bunch of notes, so I got some work cut out for me. So holy cow, I was hoping to skate through this one, okay? But you challenged me, you challenged the listeners, so I appreciate that. And I know you do some speaking, so hopefully when the world opens back up, I'd love to share a stage with you. So hopefully that we can make that happen someday.
I would love that. Florida is largely open for business, so I'm hoping to get on the stage here before the world opens up, because why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, here in Wisconsin, we're the opposite. So we're still doing everything virtual. I hope it changes,
Wah,
but
wah.
I know exactly.
We'll definitely share a stage someday, and I really look forward to that. This has been super fun, Dave. Thank you for the opportunity to share time
Absolutely.
with you and talk about things openly.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. And we'll get you back soon. And again, feel free to jump on the6habits.com and send her a message and say, hey, great podcast. She's got a ton of other podcasts that she was guests on her website. So if you want more, there's just a plethora of information there. So we'll talk soon. And thanks again for all this info, and thanks for holding me accountable. Now I got to go do something about it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care.